right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
All right, everybody, welcome on in NorCal Sports Network. We've got a show for you tonight. We're going to be talking about the Giants' new coaching staff as being put together by Tony Vitello. And we'll break it all down for you. First, let us thank our sponsors. And we'll be talking more other stuff too, Giants baseball. But we're first going to get into the coaching staff. First, let us thank our sponsor. That would be Chapman Law Group. Chapman Law Group, located in Marin, licensed in all of California. Make sure you give David Chapman and his group a call over there at 415-613-9483. There's the number on the screen, 415-613-9483. David Chapman and group will get you all squared away and get you top dollar when it comes to personal injury. Give them a call. Let them know NorCal Sports Network sent you. All right, Dallas, welcome on in. Giants are hiring guys left and right, it seems like, the last few days. The Friday night show that we talked about with Cody. You remember Frank Anderson?
Yeah.
That I mentioned, that I said, how about this guy? Well, he's coming to the Giants. So let's take them one at a time, and let's look at these guys, and I'll get your thoughts on them. Let me pull them up here. The first guy that we want to mention is, we've talked a little bit about him as the pitching coach, or excuse me, the hitting coach, and that is Hunter Mense. And Hunter Mense was an assistant over with the Toronto Blue Jays. Here's his this guy right here. He's going to be your new hitting coach, and we'll read up a little bit about Hunter Mense. He attended the University of Missouri, where he played when Tony was beginning his coaching career. And he's been with the Blue Jays as an assistant hitting instructor. And now he's hired on November 12th to be the Giants' hitting coach. He had a hitting academy called Do Damage Hitting. And our buddy over at Even Year Dynasty Show nailed this one a week before anybody else was talking about him, and said this might be the hitting coach. I'm laughing at the chat. I'll get to it later. I saw a remark in there. What do you think about this Hunter Mense signing? Not to be confused with Hunter Pence, but Hunter Mense.
I think it's if you want to hit like the Blue Jays, then why not hire the Blue Jays hitting coach or assistant hitting coach? So I think that he has the right mentality. I think that Buster and Tony have done their homework, and they wanted to bring this guy in. I mean, he's not a guy that was on anybody's radar, but they're being very selective, targeted with their approach, and it seems like they kind of have a plan. So I think it's a good. It's definitely a change needed to be made. So, and I think if you're gonna go with somebody that has that kind of philosophy at the Blue Jays, because that's the team that you want to emulate yourself after.
Right. And I just rebooted my computer right before this show. And for some reason, things are not opening up. And I may have to reboot. My mouse isn't working. I can't even work I just don't understand why that does that. I thought when you restarted your computer, everything was kind of fresh. That's why it's called restart.
That's how it's supposed refresh. To
be. Yeah. And fortunately, I just, it's not going anywhere. So let me just do something here for 1 second. Take over. I'm going to try and talk a little bit more about Mense and the philosophy you think he'll be bringing to the Giants and why you think the Giants hired him.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I don't know too much about the guy, but he has been coaching with the Toronto Blue Jays since looks like 2018. So not as long of a career as some of the other. He's a younger guy than some of these other hires that we've are going to be talking about. But yeah, I think that Cody, I mean, he was looking at the staffs of the teams that were hitting, the teams that were successful in the playoffs and were, putting together professional at bats and kind of the kind of team you want to emulate yourself after. And so that's why they went out and got him. But yeah, I mean, if you had asked me beforehand, these guys that you have not really heard much of, it's good that they've obviously done a deep dive at the lower levels of the coaching staffs for the other teams, and they can kind of identify people that could potentially help the team. So
yeah, and
it's a good move, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he could do with this team, because it's a team that definitely needs improvements in their approach, their two-strike approach specifically. They need to cut down on their strikeouts. I mean, you can't completely change the nature of a player like Willie Adames and like Matt Chapman or Rafi Devers, but maybe you can instill a little bit of that philosophy into them. And then obviously the younger players you can kind of mold to you can have more of an imprint on them. But I think, I'm looking forward to seeing how this season starts to shape up in spring. It's like, winter's just beginning, and spring can't get here soon enough.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm really excited about what the Giants are doing. I was watching a show yesterday on, I believe it was Foul Territory, and they had, with Harold Reynolds, and I always forget the guy's name, but Tony showed up for about 15 minutes. If you guys haven't seen the show, I would recommend that you guys go watch it. I believe it was yesterday. Yeah, let me see.
You tweeted out a link to it, so you could get it off Dan's Twitter.
Did I do that? Okay. Yeah. And here's I'll just show you guys. I can't play it because it's on another channel, but this is it right here. Getting comfortable as Giants manager on Foul Territory or Hot Stove or whichever. It's on the MLB network. So I would highly recommend it. You'll get a really good feel for Tony, and I'm excited about part of the interview process included Buster playing Tony Victory on a Bluetooth speaker, engaging the reactions. Listen to this. We're gonna have fun with that. So
that was an interesting interview. They when they brought him on, they did kind of a mystery reveal thing where they're like, were you a big league ball player? No. Are you a former player? No. Are you, have you ever have any experience? No. Any professional baseball experience? No. You're like, are you an actor?
Yeah.
So they were confused.
Then he said, I would like to be.
Right. So that was funny. And then he talked about just getting this coaching staff. He said within the next couple of days, they're going to have the coaching staff locked in. It looks like that's beginning to materialize. And then he's going to be doing a lot of traveling around, meeting with all the players and going to the Dominican Republic and trying to, practice up on his Spanish and, kind of get ready for this season that's upcoming. So, kind of get the relationships in place so that when they get to spring training, they're all kind of, on the same page and, they're all familiar with each other. So really good interview. And you just kind of get a sense of the guy. He's just such a good character. good personality, and he's just such a likable guy that it's going to be a fun season just from press conferences and questions from the media, and I think we're going to get a little more from him during the course of the season.
Yeah,
and he's just a humble guy. He's not like full of himself or anything like that. He understands he's coming into uncharted territory for him, and he's seems like he's going to do the best he can to kind of massage his way into this situation.
Yeah, and I think I'm right here with Senior. I have got such a great feeling. I haven't again, guys. I have been a Giants fan for 55 plus years. I'm 64. I started following the Giants in 1968 as a 7-year-old. Okay, and as a 7-year-old, I remember Bobby Bonds. That's Barry's daddy. Bobby Bonds hitting a grand slam in his first game. And why do I remember it? Because back in 68, we only got 18 games a year on TV. Yeah, you guys that are in this era where you got 162 games of your team and 162 games of every other team you want to watch is unreal.
Dan, some of the games are on Apple TV Plus, 3 games a year. And boy, the amount of bitching that goes into that.
You can get Apple TV Plus. Yeah, I know. You miss 1 or 2 games a year and you're complaining. I literally got to see 18 games a season out of 162. That means I missed 144. And so I grew up with the radio about this size, right? About this size. Yeah. And it was listening to Lon Simmons and Russ Hodges and Bill, I forgot his last name now. He was Bill, anyway, somebody in the chat's going to remember Bill Tompkins. Something.
For me, it was Hank Greenwald.
Hank Greenwald,
and Ted Robinson.
Yeah. I remember in the early 70s having Al Michaels with the Giants. He was either for 1 year or 2 years. 2 years tops, but Al Michaels was tremendous. So, yeah. So anyway, we're getting back to this vibes on the coaches. I am so excited for Tony Vitello because why am I excited about Tony Vitello? Well, since Bruce Bochy left, we've had Gabe Kapler, who is arguably one of the strangest guys on the planet for a baseball manager. He's baseball managers that do food reviews and do Instagram or like whatever they do. They have people give you a call and you fulfill some kind of promise for money. They pay for it. Like they pay for these. I don't even know what they were he was doing, but he was doing all kinds of other things besides managing, and he was just a different type of character. And then we got Melvin, who was like totally opposite, a normal good guy, but a very pretty much kind of chill, mellow, in his own ways, older.
Now, you could do that, Dan. Cameo, you could do people's voicemails and stuff.
That's what it was. It was Cameo.
Hey, this is Dan from NorCal Sports Network. Dallas can't come to the phone right now, but leave a message.
Okay, so I know what Dallas said. He looked it up. What the heck was he doing? Cameo. That's what he was doing. Cameo.
I couldn't think of it, yeah.
Yeah, Cameo. He was doing this stuff, and I'm like, dude, you're a baseball manager. You're doing Cameo during the regular season. I could get, you want to do stuff in the off season. You want to do food reviews. Look, that's your time. But to put this stuff out on the internet, it just shows that you're, I don't know, whatever. Bill Thompson. Thank you, Mike Lavelle. I knew, what did I say? Bill Thompson or Tompkins? Bill Thompson. I liked Bill. He had a pretty unique voice. And I enjoyed him and Lon Simmons together, Russ Hodges. I heard them all of them. KSFO, that was where the song, when the Giants come to town, it's bye, bye, baby. Yeah. And then the part of the... Let's play it.
No.
Oh, listen to the Giants on KSFO. Bum, okay,
Yep.
so we're getting back to the coaches. I'm really really excited. The next coach we're going to talk about is um, the pitching coach for the San Francisco Giants, and that is Justin. I don't know how you pronounce it.
I
Is
think
it
it's Message.
Message? I think it's Message. And Justin has a message for everybody. And he says his message is, I don't look that great in a hat, especially a Pirates hat. No, Justin message is, let me see. Let me pull him up. Justin message. So Justin is a
Dan has eliminated himself again. But once he figures out the right button to push, he'll be right back, I'm sure. Message. It doesn't look like Message, but I listened to Marty Lurie today, and he was pretty confident it was Message. So
okay. I hit the wrong button and I was going back. Okay, so Justin Message was the AAA pitching coach last year for the Milwaukee Brewers. And you say, well, that's not a major league pitching coach. Well, guys, think of who the Brewers had as their minor league pitchers last year. Um, they had guys by the name of Mazeroski. What's his first name? Mazeroski. Why am I forgetting his first name? Um, you know what his first name was?
no, but I have Google.
Yeah. Um, his what was his name?
Jacob.
Jacob. Yeah. Yeah, Jacob. Um, let's see. I'm trying to pull up something here, and I'll tell you who. There was two other guys that Logan Henderson was another one. Uh, Chad Patrick was another one. Even Quinn Priester. So the young pitchers, those were three of the guys. Um, Abner Uribe. So he definitely had an impact on Mizorowski, Patrick, and Logan Henderson, all guys who spent time in AAA last year. And those are some good young pitchers. And what do you think the Giants have going for them? They have some young pitchers, guys like Hayden Birdsong, Carson Wisenhunt, Landon Roop, um, guys coming up like uh, Blade Tidwell. How about Blade Tidwell coming up, and now Frank Anderson, who has been the pitching coach for Tennessee the last 8 years. He's coming to the Giants. We'll get to Frank Anderson next, but this is a guy that a lot of people have a lot of good things to say about Justin Message. And, hey, look, I'm of the belief if you can coach and you can coach young men that are college age, AAA, AA type players, you can move up and coach the big leagues. All right.
Yeah,
Didn't
but he spent 4 years as a bullpen coach in Pittsburgh before
Right.
he was the AAA pitching coach.
exactly.
So this is a
Good
guy
point.
that, he came up as a pitcher in the Yankees organization. He never made it to the big leagues, and he kind of transitioned into coaching. But for the over 20 years, he's been coaching.
Right. Spent the majority of his coaching with the Pirates organization.
He did. He spent a little time in college. I don't know if that's when where Tony got to know him or whatever. But since 2011, he's been with the Pirates organization.
Yeah. Yeah. So Tony's Vitello's staff, as it slowly comes together, he's added Hunter Mense, which we talked about, and then Justin Message, and then I think he retained a couple of guys from the staff that will be holdovers, and then we really didn't talk tonight. We've talked about him previously about Jace Tingler. I'm really excited about Jace Tingler as well because this guy's been to the playoffs with the Padres as a manager, beat the Dodgers in the playoffs. And I just think that this guy, probably had a rough second year and lost the clubhouse somewhat, people think. But he's going to have that experience. He's going to have the experience of setting up a camp. And Tony's going to have all the help setting up his first big league camp. He's going to have Bruce Bochy. He's going to have Dusty Baker. He's going to have Jace Tingler. He's going to have guys that have done the job. And so all of those things are going to be very, very helpful to Tony Vitello. And then he's going to have, a guy that he hired to come to Tennessee in Frank Anderson. Now, what's important about that, I believe, is not just what Frank Anderson can bring to the Giants as a pitching coach, but he brings some familiarity, if I can get that word out, with another coach that he's coached with for the last 8 years, right? Sometimes when you're starting out new, it's nice to have somebody by your side very, very well. And, whether it's just in team meetings, whatever it be, but, Anderson's going to be a valuable coach to the staff because, as you mentioned, he probably will be the bullpen coach, but he can step in if you have an issue. Let's say Justin Meccage is out for whatever reason for a week or misses a few games. You got Anderson to step in as the assistant pitching coach. And
and the Giants had a couple of pitching coaches there for a while.
And
and,
most teams do have an assistant.
It's kind of an all hands on deck type of thing. But also Tingler and Vitello are very good friends.
Exactly.
They were teammates in Missouri. So, he has some coaches on his staff that he already has a relationship with. And, I'm sure he'll be able to develop a working relationship with the new additions also, and the existing ones that are the two that are held over.
Yeah.
Then I was interested to hear that Tingler coached in the Dominican Republic and is a fluent Spanish speaker.
Yes.
Which is also a good thing to have because the Giants do have a lot of Spanish speaking players on the team.
And what's exciting about that is that Jace Tingler and Tony Vitello are buddies. They know each other. They coached together in college or played together. I think they played more like played together at the University of Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
What's great is they're going to go to the Dominican in January together and meet up with Rafi Devers, and maybe they go to some of the other countries there in Latin America nearby. Maybe they meet up with Luis Matos in Venezuela. Plus Giants have drafted some young kids from the Dominican the last couple. I shouldn't say drafted, but signed a couple of young kids. Number one.
Well, the Giants have a huge modern baseball facility down there that they built. And, they have a huge focus on developing talent from that country. And so they have a big footprint in the Dominican Republic. And so I'm sure he wants to go down and check out that whole operation.
Yeah. Let's take a look at Frank Anderson here. Basically informed administrators that he's leaving to be with the Giants. And sorry for the ads in this thing. I can't seem to get rid of certain pages ads. This is Baseball America. What I like about this, Anderson is regarded as one of the premier pitching developers in college baseball. He served as Oklahoma State's head coach from 2004 to 2012 and held assistant roles across the country dating back to 1984. Over his 4 decades in college game, Anderson has coached 103 pitchers who were selected in the MLB draft, including 10 first-round picks, 4 of those first rounders came at Tennessee, where Anderson helped build one of the nation's most consistent and aggressive pitching staffs. The Volunteers have produced at least 3 drafted pitchers in each of the last 4 years, including 5 selections in 25. Anderson was named interim head coach in early October after Vitello left for the Giants. Just to give you an idea, some of the pitchers, has some of you guys ever heard of a guy by the name of Garrett Crochet? Well, yeah, he's one of Tony's guys at Tennessee, and Frank Anderson coached him.
I bet Tennessee is just thrilled that they're that every coach they have is getting pulled away.
Well, not all of them, but 2, I would say, their right-hand guy, their big guy, I can't remember his name, but they did hire him on as the head coach at Tennessee. So, which was widely expected, and the players were thrilled with it, the continuity. The questions being asked: who are the Giants hiring for first and third base coaches? That is yet to be determined, but I would expect that announcement this week. I would expect that to happen very shortly. Tony's been working on that. That's the number one priority of a manager, is to get his coaching staff in place. And you just don't pick up a phone and go, push a button. I want that guy. I want that guy. I want this guy. You have to have talk time, interviews, get to know the coaches, see if it's going to be, a good fit. And so Tony's been working on that for a couple of weeks. They were asking him he doesn't even have a home yet as far as in the Bay Area. He's going to be working on that. But this guy, Tony Vitello, guys, I am telling you, he is going to put in the work. I don't think any coach in baseball will out-prepare or outwork the amount of time Tony Vitello puts into this. Look, he even mentioned, because they asked him, I've heard interviews, you're like widely going to be considered San Francisco's number 1 bachelor. And he said, well, part of the reason I'm probably available is I put my life into baseball. This guy doesn't have a family or anybody significant, it sounds like, in his life, because he's dedicated to the game. And what did Buster Posey say that he was looking for weeks before the hiring? He kind of gave you a clue in a way, if you think about it.
Yeah. I don't know what his exact words were, but it was something like he wants someone that is dedicated to baseball and will put in the time,
Right.
Exhaustive effort.
Epicurus says, do we like the coaches? I think we do. I think I speak for Dallas. We don't know these coaches, but based on what we're hearing and based on track records, and that these guys have had success with players and developing players, if you look at what the Giants are doing, there is some say that you can look at and go, okay, they've got Devers, they got Chapman, they got Adames, they got Lee. Those are 4 position players that are signed long-term. And in every case except Lee, the other 3 are going to be 30 plus. But they're drafting guys like Gavin Killeen, and the trades they're making and guys that they're looking after are guys that are more contact hitters, that are younger, and the kind of coaching that they're starting to put together. There's you can see what they're trying to coordinate.
And you want to see that, because it seems like for a while we haven't really had the cohesive plan in place. It's kind of been try and make trades on the margins and get better, try to fine tune things and make a lot of moves and pick up a lot of guys off waivers and move guys up and down and shuffle things around. And, you try to take that approach, but I don't know, with with Farhan, I don't know that I saw the cohesive long-term strategy, and you hope that that's the case with this new crew, with Buster and the people he's bringing in. I think that it's going to take a long time before we start to see the fruit of that. You know, you might see one or two people start to trickle up to the big leagues and maybe make an impact based on the moves they've made last season. But you know, that's a long-term plan. So you have a short-term vision that we're going to see start to materialize with the moves that Buster makes this offseason, and then long-term you're going to see moves that are who he drafts, who he trades for, guys that you know, might be in the cards for the future, like this Parks Harbor guy that they traded for Camilo Doval.
Right.
No one thought he was anybody, and now he's come up in Arizona Fall League, and he's, you know, hitting the cover off the ball and tearing it up and hitting over 300, and so, you know, it's good to see those types of things that show potential for the future. We probably won't see the guy for a couple of years, but you know, you want to see the moves that they're making start to continue to develop, move their way up the ranks, and start to show some fruit.
Yeah. Robert Rothberg says, hello, Dan. Well, hello, Robert. He says, is it too early for your prediction of 90 wins? Absolutely, Robert. Don't even know what the roster is going to be. Got to see what they're going to do with pitching. If they come back with the same pitching that they have now, I will definitely say they have 90 in their forecast, and that would be 90 losses. But if they add 2 to 3 plus pitchers, I'm talking, well, they're probably going to have to add at least 4 when you starters, a couple of bullpen guys. They add a couple of good arms and, you know, a bat or so here or there. Yeah, I won't make my predictions until spring training, but I am excited right now for the direction the team's going, simply because of the focus, the type of hires that Buster is making. Chili's Burger coming right up. I see a comment in here about coaching. Wouldn't the coach at LSU be a better hire because of only one championship? Well, LSU's been a kind of a steady powerhouse in baseball for a long time with different coaches. Tony took over and turned Tennessee around when the program was not any good prior to him arriving. He not only won a championship, which is very tough to do in college baseball, but he got to 3 College World Series and 5 regionals and something like 4 supers, whatever it was. But you also have to look at the personality. Tony is a guy that people just gravitate to, and players are just going to be excited.
LSU's head coach is very good. I mean, they win, so it's something to keep an eye out for. If the Giants are successful and they start to show success, and you start to see, oh, they have something going here, that's somebody that might be the next guy that's hired out of the college ranks.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and Tony's even mentioned that. I think Tony has success. I think the Giants realize that they have to win. Whether they, you know, we'll see who has more of who has more say in this organization right now. Is it Greg Johnson or is it Buster Posey? We'll find out. If you guys check out my videos that I've done, I did one this afternoon that came out on Kyle Tucker. The Giants have the money going forward. Their payroll drops in 27 and comes down to 135 million, and then goes to 136 million, and then by 2030 it's only 100 million. So the Giants will have the resource. They have the resources, but they will have the ability, if they want to just go over 1 year like this year and then slip back down under the CBT for 27 and going forward for a couple of years, They can afford a Kyle Tucker. I don't think they go after Tucker. I don't think they are going to land him. Would I be shocked if they did? Yes. Would I be thrilled? Yes. I would think it would be a tremendous move. No, but nobody expected Devers, right? Nobody expected.
Yeah.
So
it depends on the market too. If the Dodgers say that they're out on him, they probably aren't going to say that, but
they'll get a feel.
He didn't have the best year last year.
Right.
And that hurts his cause. You going into free agency, you want to really have a killer year, and then people are willing to open up the big checkbook and spend $500 million or $400 million. It might not end up being that much. It might be 340, somewhere in that range. So I don't know. I don't see, based on the stats you pulled up on the last show where you were looking at, his stats versus Elliot Ramos, I think it was.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't $40 million better.
Is it $40 million? Yeah, it's not $40 million better. So maybe the smart move is to not get him and to maybe get a pitcher. Now, spending big money on pitchers is kind of a fool's errand also, because one injury and then you're out a ton of money. But maybe you get – the Giants have a one, Logan Webb, and people will argue he's not an ace or whatever, but he really is. If you look at him, he's in the top 3-5 Cy Young every year. He leads the league in strikeouts.
He's the club's ace, and he's a top 6-7 starting pitcher in the National League, without a doubt.
Okay, and there's 30 teams, so he's a one.
Yeah, he's a one. He's a one.
He's
just not the type of one that you want to have in the case of a game like where you got Skeens going against a Skeens or a Scooble,
right.
that
there's
type.
But
there's only a few.
There's a few pitchers that are better than him for sure.
Right.
But you've got a one. Now you've got Robbie Ray, who is a 2.5. He could be a 2, best case scenario, or he could be a 3. You've got Landon Roop, who's probably a 3. And you've got other guys that are 5s, right? But you need to add at least 2 more 3s, and preferably a 2 and a 3. If you can do that, then all of a sudden you've got a pretty deep rotation. Now, if you want to go crazy and sign a 1, then you have a 1, a 2.5, and a 3. That's a lot. That's a pretty deep rotation. So, and then they do have all the younger guys coming up that are unproven but show potential. The Wizenhunts and the Bird Songs and we've named them all many times. They're all the guys that are unproven, Tidwell and Kaiwei Tang and McDonald and all those guys, but none of them have stepped up and taken the next step. So you can have those guys for when whoever gets injured, they can come up and have their shot. And you might take a couple of those guys and put them in the long man position in the bullpen. But that's going to be a big thing this year. Whether or not they sign a right fielder or not, the rotation has to be solidified if they want a chance to compete. And we've said that every show, I think. It's just there's no question about it. So you're going to hear a lot of talk about, we have these young guys we're excited about. And, we did that last year. And a lot of them burned out, flamed out at the end, and we had no pitching by the end of the year. You need depth. And so hopefully if they do something this offseason, it's got to be 2 starters. And then you have to have a bullpen too. You have to, by hook or by crook, come up with a bullpen. And if you sign a couple guys and then you have a big, you bring in a lot of people for invitations and you just kind of fill it out with who you think is going to be, the best bullpen based on how they perform in spring, that's fine. But, the rotation is the must at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, George Curry says trade Lee to the Mets and get off his contract. He will opt out with Boris as his agent in 2 years. Use that money to trade for 2 starting pitchers. Would love to do that, George. Problem is anybody willing to take that contract of Lee? I said
No.
I believe it was today's video. Can't remember. They run together. But you want Jung-Hoo Lee to opt out. You want him. You better pray that he opts out after the 27 season.
You're damned if you do, damned if you don't on that. If he is good enough to opt out, then that means he's a really good player.
That's what you want him
to keep.
You want him to opt out, because if he doesn't opt out, my point is this, Dallas, if he doesn't opt out, that means he's had 2 pretty bad years coming up, and you're stuck with him for 2 more. So you hope that he opts out and you have the opportunity to re-sign him, because if he's opting in, that means he realizes I'm not getting $19 million anywhere else. I'm staying put.
You want him to prove himself as a more than $19 million player. Absolutely. At which point you might have to sign him for 22 or something like that if you want to keep him.
Exactly.
But you're not going to really. The worst case scenario is that he sucks and he can't make it as a center fielder, and his bat never comes to fruition. And now you're stuck with a guy for 6 years that you're paying $19 million to. That is going to be your right fielder.
Here's NorCal Sports Talk Live says, lots of new blood. The hires fit very nicely. Remember Kapler's staff before the 20 season seemed like he was throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. Only Floyd Bannister and Donnie Ecker resonated. That's right. Remember, we didn't know who are these guys. Who's what is his? How do you say? I'm forgetting name. Abernathy, Craig Abernathy. He's now a manager. Kai Correa. He's now a bench coach. Stephen Vogt wasn't part of that, but there's another person that there was like 3 or 4 coaches that have been very good. So Kapler had a really
Mark Hallberg got a
Mark Hallberg, a bench coach. Think about this, guys. Think about this. We looked at Buster Posey, or not Buster Posey, but Kapler, and we thought, oh man, who are all these people? They've got like 12 coaches, and they hired the first woman coach, Alyssa Nacken, and we were like, okay, we got all these guys. Well, Buster Posey played his first and only year with Gabe Kapler as his last year as a big leaguer in 21. And what did he just go about and do as president of baseball ops? He went out and looked for a manager that has a philosophy like Kapler in having coaches that believe in the analytics and believe in preparation and getting their players prepared for all aspects of each game. And that coaching staff was well prepared. The problem was, and it wasn't Kapler's decision-making, it was his personality that rubbed so many people in the organization wrong. And so what Buster went out and did is he got a guy that's has similar philosophy, but is very, very, very likable and a great communicator, and one that to a person, I've yet to hear anybody say a negative thing about Tony as a manager or coach and as a person. All the reviews are great. The question that comes up and arises, and it's a normal, natural question, is can he be successful at the big leagues? Well, we'll find out.
Yep, we will. And no one's going to know anything until the season starts. And so there's all kinds of people that are positive on it, negative on it, and super negative on it. And it's like, what is the point of that at this point? You know, you can agree with it or not agree with it, but when it comes down to it, nobody knows anything. And Buster Posey, you know, we assume that he knows more than anybody. You know, we've put our faith in this guy, and he's going to make his decisions. And we think that he is going to make the right decisions. And so hopefully all these decisions we're seeing here are going to be good decisions.
Yep.
Or more than bad ones, so that at the end of the day, we're seeing an improvement. Kapler, he was kind of a weirdo, and he, with all his extracurricular stuff, and then his, the not having face-to-face interaction with players and just texting people. But the Marlins have elevated him to GM, and so I don't know. He's got to be doing something right. And he and Farhan were kind of tied together at the hip when he was here, and we don't know. They were kind of you blame them both, for what happened after the 2021 season, and you don't know where to put the blame. Farhan fired Kapler and hired Melvin to kind of keep his job alive for another year or two. Another year, I guess it was just 1 year. But who knows how much of it was one guy or the other.
Yeah. Let's see. It was just me singing earlier. That's right, Aaron. Yeah, it was just me singing the Giants' original theme song. There we go. Let's get to some. George Curry says, bottom line, Kapler sucked at managing. He was an a-hole, and the Giants had no frontline talent. Tony, we would be successful if we have an improved roster. Can't make a clay piece out of a bucket of S. Yeah, that's true. That's true, George. You can't. Tony, as Aaron says, he's the burgerless Kapler, perhaps. Yeah. Balance the smoke. Yeah, got to get that burger. Balance the smoke with the barbecue sauce. It's a little glass of wine. Just perfect blend of everything. I highly recommend, Jack and Jill's over here at the corner of Van Ness and whatever, And
we give him a bunch of crap for that, but if the Giants were winning and he was doing that crap, then we wouldn't care at all.
Exactly. So let's see what else we got here. Yeah, Kapler is one of Miami's assistant GMs. Yep, he is. And he speaks fluent Spanish, I see, on Twitter.
Well, he's been promoted to the GM.
Oh, that's
role,
right. He was. He's a GM, and So, what else do we got in here? NorCal fan says Vitello looks like he has a nice blend of personality, baseball intelligence, and appreciation of stats to teach analytics to players with the right winning perspective. Yeah. Hey, look, I think Dave Fleming, our announcer friend, Dave Fleming, heard him the other day on Glenn Kuiper's show, made a good point. One of the things that Tony's probably going to need to really step up his game on in the next few months is learning the Major League Baseball rulebook, because it is different from college, and not knowing the rules can cost you a game if you don't see something that needs clarified, or you just let it go and you don't go out and get it corrected, or
the
thing is
the people that have watched baseball their entire lives, they know the rule book,
Yeah.
So there's going to be things like even how to handle pitchers and how many days in a row. Those of us that watch the team every single day, we understand how many days in a row pitchers generally pitch, and they have people to look out for that stuff. They watch all the innings and how many pitches they threw in the bullpen warming up, and they know they have every single piece of data there, and that is all going to have to be aggregated and provided to Vitello, and he'll have to come up with a routine, but he also will have to rely on the other team members there that have more experience than him. Tingler was a major league manager for a couple of years, and so he's going to be able to run things across with him, float ideas by him. Same with Bochy, that, he'll be available if there's any questions or whatever. So yes, the first year probably will be the first time he's done it. It'll be a learning experience, but this guy's been around baseball his whole life. He understands, the ins and outs of the game. And just because he coached at the college level doesn't mean he never turned on the TV set and never followed Major League Baseball, or is familiar with the game, familiar with the players. I think he has a pretty intimate understanding of the league, Major League Baseball, the players that are on every team, and he's only going to learn more and more the more experience he gets.
Yeah, I agree. Aaron Loss has loved when Bochy called out Mattingly for excessive mound visits. Yeah, it's picking up on things like that. I think it's important that Tony does know the rule book, because you don't want to lose the clubhouse if you lose a game. Not lose the clubhouse, but just get guys starting to question your ability. But and then
Bochy, he had excessive pitching changes. They had to create a rule because of him, micromanaging the bullpen and the pitching staff. Right. He would bring in Javi Lopez to face one guy, and then he'd bring in Affeldt, or he'd bring in, the Romo, and then he would micromanage that. And it got to be the point where it was taking too much time having all these pitchers come in and throw their warm-up pitches, and it would slow the game down. So then they made the rule change, the 3-pitcher rule.
Yeah. G. Versailles says, Dan, don't you think Buck Showalter would have been a great hire for the Giants? No, I don't. I like the manager they hired. Look, guys, I hear people talk about it. You can go to another channel and hear about them talking about, very upset with the Vitello hiring and saying experience. We need experience. Well, you just had the most experienced manager in all of baseball with the team for the last 2 years. Bob Melvin is 20th all-time in wins. So what did that experience bring you? It brought you a 79-83 record in the 24 season, and brought you an 81-81 season record in the 25 season, and you had to sweep the lowly Colorado Rockies just to get to 500 the last 3 games of the season. So people crying and talking about experience and that Tony doesn't have experience. Come on. What are we talking about here? Tony they act like they picked up Tony off of a softball field and that he's only managed, women's softball. The guy has coached successfully and won a national title with college baseball, which is getting very, very close to, the type of players that they're producing with the majors. Look at guys that have come out of college recently that have just jumped right into the majors with success. How about Nick Kurtz, American League Rookie of the Year, came out of the college ranks. Do you think he was ready to play baseball? How about some of the guys that the Rangers, Wyatt Langford, steps onto the field and bingo. There are so many other guys that are jumping out of college today and are getting better and better. This mindset that somebody has to have experience. Okay, so you got to have experience. You want an experienced manager. Well, guess what? Give me an inexperienced manager with the Dodgers roster over an experienced manager with the Giants roster and see who does better.
Sure. But also, this is the year for inexperienced managers. I mean, there's been 8 manager changes this season, this offseason. 5 of the 8 have never managed in professional baseball before, or in the major leagues before. There might have been a minor league manager, but I'm not even sure about that. Yeah. So, it seems to be that, Skip Schumacher, he was kind of the heir apparent, and he's kind of the exception this year of going with somebody who has the experience, as opposed to a lot of the other teams, the Orioles and the Angels, Kurt Suzuki, and the Padres. So the Nationals just hired one. Yeah, and then the Rockies don't even have a
they
manager
don't have
yet.
A manager. That's a team that should go to the girls' softball league. Sometimes the game
Maybe
just
they
needs
should try it. It's an experiment. They'll just self-manage themselves.
self-manage. Yeah. Hey, I'll manage today. You got third base. Who's got first base? You do that in softball all the time, man.
Yeah.
We used to do that all the time, man. We just self-manage
Now,
softball.
if they did that, you'd think the Giants took some heat with their hiring. The Padres fans would, Rockies fans would freak out.
Yeah, they can have an AI manager, says 49er Media. They probably do a better record than last year with an AI manager, seriously. NorCal Sports Talk Live says sometimes the game just needs a bold refresh. The experienced guys eventually become become out of touch, retire, even die. Yeah, look, as I said earlier, guys, you got to have the horses. Give me the most inexperienced manager taking over the Dodgers, someone who's never done managing,
of course,
in the big leagues, and give me Bruce Bochy on the Giants, and I'll take the Dodgers team, and the Dodgers will outperform Bruce Bochy or Dusty Baker or Connie Mack or whoever. You got to have the horses, the dogs in the fight, right? And
I never even thought much of Dave Roberts as a manager. I kind of was underwhelmed by him early on, and then now he's great, and all this winning, and but he's coaching these teams with a all-star at every position pretty much. So the team goes a long way to make the manager, and that's why these off-season moves are so important for the Giants, because if they just roll it out again, no matter how good Tony V is, it's not going to have the right results. So you have to have the horses.
And I've said this until I think I'm blue in my face here, but guys, think about this. Buster Posey, you need talent. You need to have talent to win. Exactly. Buster Posey. People say, well, I hear not Bob Nightingale. What's the guy's name? Ken Rosenthal. Well, this is, and then you got Joe Madden. This is insulting. Look, guys, people who are complaining about not having any big league experience and is he going to be respected in the clubhouse? You guys got to put on your thinking caps a little bit more, maybe put on one of the thinking caps with kind of that has, you can turn it on and has jolts that go in and vibrate in your brain. Think about this. Buster Posey, 37 years old, played last in 21, hit 300, could have played easily the last, I would say he could have played comfortably till 23 season, 21, 22, 23, and just been fine. Is a guy who is making the decision, who's been in a big league clubhouse for over a decade, won 3 World Series titles, was the leader of the clubhouse, bar none, and knows what a clubhouse needs as a leader, and he hires a guy that he obviously respected, because don't you think if Buster thought the guy couldn't do it and didn't have the kahunas to actually step up and be a big league manager and lead the team, would say, I'm interviewing this guy and I don't get the feeling he's got the it factor, what it takes to do this job.
Of course not.
I mean, come on, people, think. I'm hearing
he's got a huge degree of confidence, and and if he wanted to hire Bruce Bochy for this position, he probably would have been able to.
Of course he would have. Of course he would have. Because Bochy was interested.
I mean, the guy's won 4 World Series, and he's, cherished in this organization, and he could have hired him, but he said, no, we're not. We're going a different route. We're thinking ahead towards the future. We are a modern baseball team, and we're going to do things that are going to set us up for success over the next 10 years. And so that kind of forward-thinking process for Posey, I think, is a good sign for the Giants.
Yeah.
And then, Joe Madden, maybe some sour grapes there. I mean, there's 9 teams are changing their managers this year. 9. That's almost a third of baseball are getting a new manager. And, how many times did his phone ring? It's a guy who's had a ton of success. Of all the managers that have managed the last 20 years, he's up there with, winning and success rate. But a lot of teams are going a different direction. This is a new day for baseball, and we're seeing it. And the Giants are going to be on the forefront of that. And people can like it or not, but whatever. They're going to move ahead with how they want to do things, and we're going to be along for the ride anyway. So what the critics say doesn't really matter.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, everybody's going to have their opinion. G4Say says the best manager for the Giants would have been Kevin Cash. Well, he's the manager of the Tampa Bay Rays, so he's probably not available. Unless, I think.
Isn't Kevin Cash the longest tenured manager?
He is. He is the longest.
He took over for Joe Madden.
Exactly. Yep.
So
I'm all for let's see what happens with Tony. I think he's going to bring a winning attitude to this organization. He's got a 3-year deal. Would not shock me if he has winning seasons while he's here and helps build this thing into a championship contender. We'll see. We'll see a lot of it's going to have to do what the Giants and what Buster Posey is able to bring in. And, we've seen Buster do some pretty bold moves in his 1 year as head of the Giants.
Big time.
I mean, his first bold move was signing Willy Adames 1 or 2 days before the winter meetings began. We got the winter meetings coming up in just under 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks. So think about this, guys. Was people shocked when Willy Adames was signed? Yeah, he wasn't on the Giants' radar to most fans. So that was number one type of unexpected move. And then, Verlander, that wasn't a huge earth-shattering move. It was just a move. But the biggest move that shook not just the Bay Area, but shook the baseball world was signing Rafi Devers or trading for Rafi Devers a month and a half before the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Went out and pulled the trigger, saw a need, was working on it, and kept it completely under wrap. There was no rumors of it. None. So, and there wasn't.
That was seeing the situation, determining that, there's a possibility of getting a big time bat from a team where there's some, disgruntled player not getting along with management. And he saw that opportunity because the Giants, because of the ballpark, because of all the things we've gone over 1,000 times, have a tough time signing free agent bats. And so you got to get those guys by trade. And so he was able to do that. And what did they give up? They gave up money and Kyle Harrison, who's a question mark.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
and Hicks, unless
you got rid of Hicks. Hicks was a positive, a plus by subtraction.
Oh, absolutely. He was signed for another year or two.
Yeah, 2 more years. Think about this. Hicks was getting $11 million a year. Think about that. Think about Hicks getting $11 million a year, and Devers getting roughly $27 a year to the CBT. That's like getting Rafi Devers for $16 million.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It was a very good trade. Now, Kyle Harrison may turn out to be a good pitcher, and we don't know. But even if he turns out to be great, you still have one of the best hitters in the game on the Giants now. So I think even if the worst case scenario that Kyle Harrison turns out to be he's not going to be a Cy Young, but say he's a number 2 on a staff, best case scenario, I think that's what they would hope for. You're still coming out ahead. So I think that was a great move, and it was good that Buster was able to identify that possibility, even though the Devers might not have been, ideally the player he would want because he strikes out a little too much and he's not the contact guy. And but when you see that possibility, you just got to jump on that. And he wasn't afraid to pull the trigger and make it happen.
Yeah, not at all. And I think it was, I just think that this is going to be a different type of vibe around this club. I really do. Buster wanted a change, and the change is here. Vitello, I'm telling you this, Vitello is not going to have a boring staff. It's not going to be a boring team. It's going to be an engaged team. Players are going to be more alert. When players are, they're going to be held accountable. And when all of those things are happening, is you're going to get a little bit more sharper focus and performance out of guys. Now, can you get a team from 81 wins to 90 plus wins just by that? Probably not. You're going to have better players. But if you can get better players, look, one of the things that I believe, Tony, that people are overlooking, I think he's going to help the Giants become more of a destination place. I think when people find out that the culture in San Francisco, led by Buster Posey and Tony Vitello, and the type of character guys that they are, I think players are going to say, you know what? I kind of want to go be a part of that.
Yeah, that'd be great. That is a great goal to have, to kind of be able to
it might be
change the culture to the point where people want to come to San Francisco.
Yeah, make it. It's going to be they're going to make it a fun place to play. I'm telling you, people are going to love playing with for Tony Vitello because
you're going to freeze your butt off a little bit, but they have heaters in the dugout. You're going to be fine.
Yeah, they're going to be fine. Look,
Jorge Soler, poor guy.
Yeah. Brian Techie says, "Dream on, Dan." You want me to sing "Dream On" now? Dream on, dream on. Okay. Look. Do you think there's only one destination place in all of baseball? Come on, G. There's as long as the Dodgers are, that means okay. Nobody wants to go play for any other team but the Dodgers. There's a thing called 26-man roster, and there's a thing called one position per, one guy per position. You're not getting Freddie Freeman and Vladdy Guerrero and Pete Alonso all on the same team. Okay.
Yeah. Plus, you're getting to the point where the Dodgers are kind of booked up. Like this Japanese pitcher, Imai, he doesn't want to go to the Dodgers. He wants to go to a team where he could face Ohtani and beat Ohtani. And he could be, you don't want to go and be the fourth fiddle on the Dodgers, the fourth Japanese fiddle. You want to go to another team that is up and coming and, you have a chance to make your own mark. So, going to the Dodgers is the easy way out. Anybody who signs with the Dodgers, that's just a guy looking to make a bunch of money, which you can't fault him for that, but maybe they don't have the same killer instinct. And because there's so many good players on the team, they win anyway. But the Dodgers were not this year anything special. They were an out, a couple of outs away from losing the World Series.
Yeah.
They could have lost.
Could have easily lost. It wasn't. They're not head and shoulders above everybody else, and that it's an automatic lay down. The Dodgers are going to be awarded the 2026 World Championship. Look,
and with what they're spending, they should be. They're spending so much more than the competition that they really should walk away with it, and they didn't, and they haven't yet. So that's kind of a good sign, because no matter how much money you throw at it, you still got to play the game of baseball.
That's right.
And there's other factors than just money.
I'm going to take whatever the bet is coming up. I'm going to take the field over the Dodgers next year. It's tough to three-peat.
Yeah. I mean, you'll probably lose, but I like the bet.
Yeah, exactly. You ready to get out of here?
Yeah, let's hit it. We can come back again when we have more news, when the Giants sign some more coaches, or we start to see some more news coming on.
Absolutely. Hey, Tony Victory. That's it, man. He's the guy. In fact, that's the name of my new fantasy football team. Change the name to Tony Victory.
Out of Tennessee, where the Smokies rise, Tony Victory brought us fire and pride. They say he's unproven, green as spring grass, but he's got a way, makes you believe fast. Tony Victory, they don't all agree, but he talks like a man who can part the sea. Dodgers looming, doubts run high. Can he lead the Giants to touch the sky? Tony Victory, time will see. Eric from the talk shows throwing his shade, says a college man can't win the big league stage. But Tony's boys down in Tennessee, son, they played wild, they played hard, and they sure as hell won. They'll Delbert swing, crazy like the wind. Tony knows the storms where champions begin. Tony Victory, they don't all agree, but he talks like a man who can part the sea. Dodgers looming, doubts run high. Can he lead the Giants to touch the sky? Tony Victory, time will see. The fans hold their breath, the past weighs a ton, but he's not afraid of the job that's begun. Confidence burns in the words he speaks, a fire in his heart, a goal in his reach. Tony Victory, they don't all agree, but he talks like a man who can part the sea. Dodgers looming, doubts run high.
Shohei Ohtani.
Can he lead the Giants to touch the sky? Tony Victory, time will see.
All right. Good night, everybody. Tony Victory going to lead the Giants. We will see you next on the show Friday night. Make sure you watch our videos. They come out every day about noon. Today was Kyle Tucker. Tomorrow, I think we got one coming out. Let me give it a little tease. Is Steph Curry. Number 2 all time only behind Michael Jordan. Aha. Check it out tomorrow, noon. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll be back here on NorCal Sports Network Friday night. We'll probably give you a show, I think, maybe a little later than usual. I think I got a Thanksgiving dinner with a group of friends Friday night. And we do that, our little Bible study group get together and do a little Thanksgiving the week before on a Friday night. So thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on the way out. Appreciate all you guys. Have a wonderful night. Take care. And should we give it a little more music? We'll give a little more music. I kind of like the Tony Victory. Should we give the Tony Victory chorus one more time, Dallas? Or do we want to just give it the regular?
Just the last
intro?
one. Yeah, one more.
One more Tony Victory. Let me see if I can. I don't know if I can run this thing from the start.
No, we can't listen to the whole thing again. So
nope. I just want to get the chorus, but I don't think I can. I don't think I can.
Don't bore us. Get to the chorus.
Don't bore us. Get to the chorus, and don't bring us any Scott Boras. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's see. Let's see. Can I speed this up?
Out of Tennessee,
You sing it, Dallas. You can sing.
rise. Tony Victory brought us
Get to get the karaoke version.
They say he's unproven,
Green to spring grass.
but he's got
He's
a way,
got a way
makes
you
you
believe.
believe.
kicking your ass.
Tony Victory, they don't all agree, but he talks like a man who can part the sea. Dodgers looming, doubts run high. Can he lead the Giants to touch the sky? Tony Victory.
All right. Good night, everybody. See ya.
Time will see.